The stars looked peaceful from the bridge of the USS Horizon. Captain Laura Wright stood with her hands clasped behind her back, watching the distant glow of Neptune as her ship continued its patrol of the outer solar system. The mission was routine: monitor the automated research stations, check for space debris, and gather data on solar radiation patterns. Nothing in her 20 years of service had prepared her for what was about to happen. "Captain, we're picking up something unusual," said Communications Officer Alan Peters. His fingers moved quickly across the glowing display. "Energy signatures, like nothing in our database. They're huge." Laura walked to his station, her face calm despite the flutter of concern in her chest. "Show me." The main view screen changed to display a cluster of objects moving toward them. At first, they looked like stars, but they moved with purpose, their formation too perfect to be natural. "How many?" Laura asked, her voice steady. "At least 15 large vessels, Captain, and dozens of smaller ones," replied sensor analyst Maria. "Well, they're not broadcasting any identification signals." Laura nodded once. "Yellow alert. Raise shields as a precaution." She pressed a button on her chair. "Bridge to Commander Hayes." "Hayes here," came the quick response. "John, I need you on the bridge. We may have a first contact situation." "Commander." John Hayes arrived moments later, his tall frame filling the doorway before he moved to stand beside Laura. They had known each other for years since he had been her instructor at the academy. Now he served as her second-in-command and most trusted advisor. "What do we know?" he asked, studying the screen. "Nothing yet," Laura admitted. "But they're on an intercept course. Speed suggests advanced propulsion technology." John's expression remained neutral, but Laura could see the excitement in his eyes. Humanity had searched the stars for signs of intelligent life for over a century. Every false alarm, every tantalizing radio signal that turned out to be natural phenomena had chipped away at Earth's collective hope. Now, possible proof approached at incredible speed. "Should we attempt communication?" asked Peters. Laura considered for a moment. "Yes. Standard greeting package on all frequencies. Make sure it includes our mathematical primer and basic language samples." The Horizon was not a warship. It carried minimal defensive capabilities and a crew of just 85 scientists and officers. Its mission was exploration and research, not combat. Still, Laura felt a sense of responsibility. If these were indeed aliens, her actions would represent humanity's first impression. "Message sent, Captain," Peters confirmed. "Now we wait," Laura said. They didn't have to wait long. The alien vessels slowed as they approached, surrounding the Horizon in a loose sphere. Up close, they were beautiful in a strange way. Their hulls gleamed with a metallic purple sheen, and they moved with impossible grace, as if the normal rules of inertia didn't apply to them. "Still no response to our transmission," Peters reported, his voice tight with tension. A soft alert sounded from the science station. "Captain, they're scanning us," said Maria. "Very intense energy readings. They're going through our shields like they aren't even there." Laura felt a chill run down her spine. Earth's shield technology was among the most advanced human engineering had produced. For these vessels to bypass it so easily suggested a technological gap she found disturbing. "Continue broadcasting our greeting," she ordered. "Make it clear we are peaceful." John moved closer to her, speaking quietly. "Laura, I don't like this. Their formation is military. They're positioned to prevent any escape vectors." Before she could respond, the view screen flashed, and a face appeared. At least, Laura assumed it was a face. The being had 4 eyes arranged, in a diamond pattern around what might have been a mouth. Its skin shimmered with an iridescent quality that made it hard to focus on. "This is Captain Laura Wright of the United Earth vessel Horizon. We come in peace and wish to establish friendly contact." The alien made no sound. Instead, lines of text appeared below its image. The universal translator worked for several seconds before producing, "You have violated protected space. Your species is not recognized. State origin and purpose." Laura exchanged a quick glance with John before answering. "We are from Earth, the 3rd planet in this solar system. We are on a scientific mission within our own planetary system. We were unaware this region was claimed by any other species. More text appeared. Scan complete. Assessment. Species designation human. Technology level Class C. Development pattern anomalous. Threat assessment high. Laura frowned. We mean no threat to anyone. We would welcome peaceful exchange of... The transmission cut off abruptly. They're powering weapons, Maria shouted, her calm professionalism cracking. Red alert. Evasive maneuvers, Laura commanded, dropping into her chair. Get a message to Earth. Tell them... The first impact rocked the horizon violently. Bridge. Lights flickered and alarm sirens wailed. Shields at 30%, called the tactical officer. Whatever they hit us with, it cut through our defenses. Return fire, Laura ordered. The horizon's defensive weapons activated, sending energy beams toward the nearest alien vessel. They splashed harmlessly against its hull. No effect, reported tactical. They're firing again. The second hit was worse. Laura was thrown from her chair as consoles exploded around the bridge. The smell of burning circuitry filled the air. Hull breach on decks 3 through 5. Life support failing, someone shouted through the chaos. Laura pulled herself up using the railing. Begin evacuation procedures, get everyone to the escape pods. She turned to John, who was helping an injured officer. Commander Hayes, you need to get to the primary escape shuttle. Take the sensor logs and everything we have on these aliens. Earth needs to know what we're dealing with. John's face hardened. I'm not leaving you, Captain. That's an order, Laura said firmly. Someone has to warn Earth. Go. A third hit sent John staggering toward the exit. With one last look at Laura, he nodded and disappeared through the door. The next few minutes were a blur of fire, smoke, and desperate commands. Laura stayed on the bridge, helping injured crew members reach escape pods, coordinating what little defensive capability remained. Through the damaged view screen, she watched as some of the escape pods launched, streaking away from the dying ship. Most were immediately destroyed by precise weapons fire from the alien vessels. Only one, the reinforced command shuttle carrying John Hayes, managed to activate its experimental stealth system before disappearing into the darkness of space. Why are they doing this? Peters asked, blood streaming from a cut on his forehead as he worked his damaged console. We did nothing to threaten them. Laura had no answer. The final hit broke the horizon's back. The bridge tilted at a sickening angle as structural integrity failed. Emergency bulkheads slammed shut, temporarily holding back the vacuum of space. It's been an honor, Laura said quietly as the lights failed completely. The destruction of the horizon was witnessed only by the cold, distant planets of the outer solar system and the alien fleet that had caused it. The vessels lingered long enough to ensure no significant debris remained, then vanished back into the darkness from which they had come. Only one small shuttle, running dark and silent, survived to carry the news toward Earth. Inside, Commander John Hayes watched his sensor displays with a mixture of grief and determination. The aliens had left a single small monitoring vessel behind. He would need to avoid it, to reach Earth with his warning. Something about the aliens' reaction bothered him deeply. They had called human development anomalous and deemed them a threat despite their obviously superior technology. It made no sense unless they feared what humanity might become. As the shuttle crept toward the inner solar system, Earth continued its daily routines, unaware that everything had changed. Unaware that in a single afternoon, humanity had gone from being alone in the universe to being judged, condemned, and marked for containment by a galactic civilization they never knew existed. And in the darkness between worlds, the first seeds of Earth's response were already taking root in John Hayes's mind. 5 years passed since the attack on the USS Horizon. 5 years of fear, preparation, and hard work. 5 years of humanity coming together like never before. Commander John Hayes, now Admiral Hayes, stood in front of the large window overlooking the secret shipyard hidden deep in the asteroid belt. His face showed the weight of all he had seen. The lone survivor of humanity's first contact, he had returned with terrible news and strange alien technology salvaged from the Horizon's sensors. "Is she ready?" asked a voice behind him. Admiral Hayes turned to see Admiral Laura Wright enter the observation room. Her survival had been nothing short of miraculous. Rescued from a failing life pod 3 weeks after the attack, she had become the public face of Earth's new defense program. As ready as she'll ever be, Hayes replied, looking back at the massive ship taking form in the shipyard. 5 years ago, we couldn't have dreamed of building something like this. Now here she is. The ship was huge, nearly 2 kilometers long. Its dark hull seemed to swallow light rather than reflect it. Unlike the smooth, rounded ships Earth had built before, this vessel was angular and threatening. It looked like what it was, a weapon. The EDF Vengeance, Laura said quietly. Not the name I would have chosen. What would you have called it? Hayes asked. Hope. Diplomat. Anything that didn't sound like we're just looking for payback. Hayes nodded slowly. Maybe. But after what happened to the Horizon, after what we learned about this Galactic Concord from the alien data, vengeance is what the public wants. In the 5 years since the attack, Earth had changed. The alien monitoring stations that appeared throughout the solar system shortly after the Horizon incident made it clear. Earth was under quarantine. The Concord, as they called themselves, had deemed humanity too dangerous to join galactic society. All attempts at communication had failed. Earth sent ships with peace offerings, and the aliens destroyed them. Earth broadcast messages of friendship, and the aliens jammed them. The quarantine was absolute. Humanity was caged in its cradle, forbidden to expand beyond Mars. The final crew selection is complete, Laura said, changing the subject. I want you to meet them. They walked together through the station to a conference room where 5 people waited. These would be the core command staff of the Vengeance, chosen from the best Earth had to offer. Chief Engineer Nathan Garcia. Laura introduced a stocky man with kind eyes and strong hands. He led the team that developed the new drive system. Nathan nodded respectfully. Admirals, the fusion antimatter hybrid is stable in all tests. We'll be able to move faster than anything the Concord has while leaving almost no trace in space. Lieutenant Kyle Davis, tactical officer. Laura continued, indicating a young man barely in his 30s, youngest ever to achieve perfect scores in the combat simulations. The multi-phasic shield system is online, Kyle reported. Based on what we learned from the Horizon data, it should resist their weapons much better than our old designs. Next was a tall woman with serious eyes. Dr. Olivia Carter, communications specialist and the lead developer of the Prometheus AI. Prometheus is online and learning quickly, Dr. Carter said. It's the most advanced artificial intelligence ever created. We've spent years teaching it not just tactics but human values and ethics. The last 2 were Security Chief Frank Miller, a veteran with more combat experience than anyone else on the ship, and Medical Director Dr. Sam Phillips, who had pioneered new treatments for injuries in space. This is it? Hayes asked, looking around the small group. 6 people to lead the most important mission in human history? Plus Prometheus and a crew of 300 specialists, Laura clarified. The ship is highly automated. We need quality over quantity. Later, Laura and Hayes walked along a corridor that ran alongside the ship's hull. Through periodic windows, they could see the Vengeance taking its final form as construction robots swarmed over its surface. The UN Security Council wants a full report tomorrow, Hayes said. They're getting nervous. Some are suggesting we should try to negotiate with the Concord again, accept our place and the quarantine. Laura stopped walking and turned to face him. And you? What do you think? Hayes was quiet for a moment. I think about the Horizon every day, about the people we lost, about how the aliens didn't even try to talk before they attacked. He looked through the window at the massive ship. But I also wonder if this is the right answer. Building a bigger gun. It's not just a bigger gun, Laura said firmly. It's a statement. Humanity won't be caged. We won't be judged without a chance to speak for ourselves. She placed a hand on the cold window. The Vengeance isn't about destruction. It's about earning respect. The next day, Chief Engineer Garcia led them on a tour of the nearly complete ship. The inside of the Vengeance was a marvel of human engineering and reverse-engineered alien technology. The gravity weapons are installed, Garcia explained as they walked through a massive chamber housing equipment that seemed to bend the light around it. Based on the alien tech we salvaged, but vastly improved, we can selectively increase gravitational force within a targeted area. No energy beam, no warning. And it works? Hayes asked. We tested it on an asteroid last month, crushed it to dust without touching it. They moved onto the bridge, a spacious command center with stations for each department. At the center was the captain's chair, currently empty. Who will command her? Hayes asked, though he suspected he knew the answer. Laura looked at him steadily. I will. The Security Council approved my request this morning. Hayes wasn't surprised. Laura had lost her ship and most of her crew to the alien attack. She had more reason than anyone to see this mission through. The launch is scheduled for next week, Laura continued. Final system checks are underway. This is really happening, John. The week passed quickly with last-minute preparations. The crew boarded the ship, each person representing the best in their field. Engineers made final adjustments. Supply ships delivered the last of the provisions. On the day of launch, Laura stood on the bridge of the Vengeance, now wearing the uniform of a ship's captain once again. The command crew was at their stations, Garcia at engineering, Davis at tactical, Carter at communications, with Miller and Phillips at security and medical. All systems ready, Captain, Garcia reported. Prometheus is online and monitoring all ship functions. Very well, Laura said. She pressed a button on her chair. This is Captain Wright to all hands. In a few minutes, we will leave the shipyard and begin our mission. Some of you may be afraid. That's normal. What we're attempting has never been done before. She paused, choosing her words carefully. We are not seeking war. We are seeking respect. Humanity will not be caged in its cradle. If peaceful contact is possible, we will find it. If not, she let the implication hang in the air. Prepare for departure. Right out. The massive engines of the Vengeance ignited, pushing the vessel away from the shipyard. As the ship moved toward the edge of the solar system and the alien blockade beyond, Laura watched the Earth grow smaller on the view screen. 5 years ago, aliens had judged humanity and found them wanting. Now humanity was about to respond in a way the galaxy would never forget. The alien outpost orbiting Neptune was the first to detect the Vengeance. Its sensors registered an unusual energy spike, but by the time the alert signal reached the monitoring station's computer core, it was already too late. Target neutralized, Lieutenant Kyle Davis reported from the tactical station on the Vengeance's bridge. His voice was calm, professional, betraying none of the tension everyone felt. No distress signal was sent. Captain Laura Wright nodded. The gravity lance had worked perfectly. The alien station had been crushed into a ball of twisted metal without warning or visible energy discharge. Prometheus, status of the quarantine line? Laura asked. The ship's AI responded in a smooth, gender-neutral voice. 10 patrol vessels. Detected ahead, Captain. Standard Concord formation. They are unaware of our approach. Their communications indicate normal operational status. Laura studied the tactical display showing the alien ships. For 5 years, these patrols had enforced humanity's imprisonment in their own solar system. Any human vessel that approached was destroyed without warning or mercy. Deploy stealth systems, she ordered. Bring us to within strike range, but hold fire unless they detect us. Stealth systems active, Chief Engineer Garcia confirmed from his station. The experimental drive of the Vengeance left no detectable wake in space, and its hull absorbed rather than reflected sensor scans. The massive Earth warship slid silently through space toward the alien blockade. On the bridge, the atmosphere was tense but focused. Each officer had trained for years for this moment. Captain, Dr. Olivia Carter called from the communications station. I'm picking up their internal communications. Prometheus is translating. Let's hear it, Laura said. The alien language filled the bridge, harsh and clicking before the translation overlay activated. Routine patrol. Nothing detected from the quarantine zone. The primitives remain contained. The casual dismissal made Laura's jaw tighten. Primitives, are we? She murmured. Then, louder. Mr. Davis, target the patrol leader. Gravity lance only. Let's show them what primitives can do. Target locked, Davis confirmed. Firing. Unlike traditional weapons, the gravity lance left. No visible beam or projectile. One moment, the alien patrol leader was there. The next, it imploded as gravity within its hull suddenly increased 100-fold. 7 remaining vessels changing formation, Davis reported as the alien fleet reacted to the sudden destruction of their flagship. They're scanning but haven't detected us yet. Target the next 3 largest ships, Laura ordered. Disable only. I want survivors. 3 more alien vessels crumpled under the invisible force of the gravity lance, their hulls buckling inward like crushed soda cans. They're panicking, Carter reported, listening to the alien communications. They don't understand. What's happening? Now they know how we felt, Security Chief Miller commented grimly from his station. The remaining alien ships began firing wildly into space, hoping to hit whatever was attacking them. Drop stealth. Power up shields. Let them see us, Laura commanded. The Vengeance shimmered into visibility, its massive black hull appearing like a hole in space against the stars. Next to the alien patrol vessels, it was enormous. A predator among prey. We're being scanned, Garcia reported. They're trying to identify us. And now we're being hailed, Carter added. Multiple frequencies, dozens of different communication protocols. They're throwing everything at us. Laura squared her shoulders. Put them through, Prometheus. Filter for compatible language patterns. The T. Main view screen changed to show an alien that looked like a bipedal praying mantis. Its compound eyes glittered with what the human crew would later learn was the Zoraxian equivalent of terror. Impossible vessel, the translation matrix conveyed. The Concorde demands immediate power down and surrender. Laura stood from her chair, facing the alien commander. This is Captain Laura Wright of Earth. We will not be quarantined. We will not be judged without representation. The Vengeance will proceed to the conquered Central Worlds for diplomatic negotiations. Negotiations? The alien's translator struggled with the concept. You have violated conquered law. Your species is contained for the safety of all. We contained ourselves for 5 years while attempting peaceful contact, Laura replied coldly. Your response was silence and destruction. Now you will listen. She nodded to Lieutenant Davis, who activated a targeted electromagnetic pulse. The remaining alien ships went dark, their systems temporarily disabled but their crews unharmed. Set course beyond the quarantine line, Laura ordered. Maximum speed. As the Vengeance pushed deeper into conquered space, word of the human warship spread across thousands of worlds. Major battle fleets converged on intercept trajectories, then maintained distance. Planetary defense systems activated but held fire. This doesn't make sense, Laura said in a private meeting with her command staff in the ship's conference room. They could throw hundreds of ships at us. Why are they holding back? Dr. Carter had been analyzing conquered communications since they breached the quarantine line. They're terrified, Captain, she said, disbelief in her voice. Not just of our weapons, it's how we built this ship. She activated a display showing translated alien messages. Look at these communications between their military leaders. They keep referring to impossible technology combinations and development pattern violation. Chief Engineer Garcia leaned forward, scanning the translations. Wait, are they saying we shouldn't be able to build something like the Vengeance? That the technology shouldn't work together? Exactly, Carter confirmed. I've been comparing their technological development patterns across multiple species in the Conquered. There's a standard progression. Species discover faster-than-light travel centuries before developing antimatter containment. Defensive technology always outpaces weapons development. We did it backwards, Garcia realized. We had nuclear weapons before we had computers. We developed antimatter containment while still using chemical rockets. Lieutenant Davis looked troubled. They quarantined us because we're dangerous, he said slowly. Not because of what we've done, but because of what we might become. Captain Wright was quiet for a long moment, digesting this information. So our unpredictable development scared them enough to trap us in our solar system without explanation or contact. It gets worse, Carter said. According to these communications, there was debate about whether to quarantine Earth or simply sterilize the planet. Some factions argued it would be safer to eliminate humans entirely. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. "Captain," Prometheus interrupted through the room's speakers. "We are being approached by a single vessel. Configuration suggests diplomatic rather than military purpose." Laura stood. "It seems we've earned their attention. Let's see what they have to say." Back on the bridge, the approaching alien ship maintained a respectful distance from the Vengeance. It was smaller, with sleek lines and no visible weapons. "We're receiving a transmission," Carter reported. "It's different from the others, more formal." "On screen," Laura ordered. The alien that appeared was unlike any they had seen before. It had a vaguely humanoid shape, but seemed to be made of crystalline structures that shifted and changed as it moved. "I am Emissary Zone of the Galactic Concord High Council," the translation came through. "Your vessel has violated numerous Concord laws. However, in light of unusual circumstances, the Council requests your presence at Concord Prime for discussion." Laura maintained a neutral expression. "Discussion, not judgment? Your species has demonstrated capabilities that require reconsideration of previous assessments," the emissary replied carefully. "We accept your invitation," Laura said, "on condition that all Concord forces respect a minimum safe distance from this vessel during our journey." "Agreed," the crystalline being said after a brief hesitation. "I will personally escort you to Concord Prime." As the transmission ended, Laura turned to her crew. "It seems we've done what we came to do. We've earned a seat at the table. Do you trust them?" Security Chief Miller asked bluntly. Laura shook her head. "Not yet, but they're talking instead of shooting. That's progress." She looked at the alien diplomatic vessel, now leading them deeper into Concord space. "Set course to follow the emissary. Maintain full alert status." The Vengeance continued its journey toward the heart of the Galactic Concord, a lone human ship in a sea of alien stars. The silence that had greeted their arrival was slowly being replaced by conversation, the beginning of what Laura hoped would be understanding. Concord Prime was unlike anything the humans had ever seen. It wasn't a planet but a massive ring structure that orbited a yellow star. The ring was dotted with continents, oceans, and city lights that glittered against the darkness of space. It was home to billions of beings from hundreds of species. "It's beautiful," Lieutenant Davis whispered as the Vengeance approached the enormous structure. Captain Laura Wright nodded in agreement but kept her expression neutral. They hadn't come all this way to admire alien architecture. They had come to secure humanity's freedom and future. "We're receiving docking instructions," Dr. Carter reported from her station. "They want us to park the Vengeance in a special holding area away from regular traffic." "Makes sense," Chief Engineer Garcia commented. "They're still afraid of us." Laura considered for a moment. "Prometheus, analysis of the designated docking area. Any signs of a trap?" "No weapons detected, Captain," the AI responded. "The area appears to be a high-security diplomatic dock used for sensitive visitors. Scans indicate observation posts but no offensive capabilities." Laura made her decision. "Take us in but maintain alert status. Shield generators at standby. I want to be able to leave quickly if needed." As the Vengeance moved toward the docking area, smaller alien vessels scattered from its path like fish avoiding a shark. News of the human warship had clearly spread throughout Concord society. "Captain," Security Chief Miller approached Laura's chair. "About the diplomatic party. I recommend minimal personnel. Just you, Dr. Carter for communications, and myself for security." Laura shook her head. "We need to show them who we are, Frank. I want the entire command staff. We represent Earth now, not just this ship." Once docked, the human delegation prepared to meet the Concord representatives. They wore their formal Earth Defense Force uniforms, navy blue with silver trim, the new emblem of United Earth on their shoulders. "Remember," Laura told her team as they gathered at the airlock, "we're here for diplomacy, not intimidation. But we don't apologize for defending our right to exist either." The airlock cycled, and they stepped onto Concord Prime. A delegation of aliens waited for them in a large, neutral space designed to accommodate various species. Laura recognized the crystalline emissary zone who had escorted them here. Beside, the emissary stood representatives from at least 5 other species, some vaguely humanoid, others utterly alien in form. "Captain Wright," Emissary Zoln greeted them, its translator converting the sounds into English. "The Concord Assembly awaits your address." Laura hadn't expected to speak to the full assembly so quickly. She had thought there would be preliminary meetings, negotiations about negotiations. The Concord was moving faster than anticipated. "We are prepared," she responded simply. The humans were escorted through vast corridors to the assembly hall. The scale was overwhelming, a circular chamber large enough to hold thousands of representatives. Tiered seating rose in rings around a central speaking platform. Every seat was filled with a different alien being, some physically present, others attending via holographic projection. The assembly represents 317 spacefaring species, Emissary Zoln explained as they approached the central platform. Never before has a quarantined species addressed this body. The significance of the moment wasn't lost on Laura or her crew. They were making history, not just for Earth, but for the entire Concord. As they took their places on the central platform, a hush fell over the massive chamber. A being composed of what looked like flowing liquid metal moved to a position opposite them. "I am High Arbiter Zentok," it introduced itself. "This emergency session of the Concord Assembly has been called to address the human situation." The translator hesitated over the last word. "Captain Wright, you may speak." Laura stepped forward, looking out at the sea of alien faces. Everything humanity had worked for came down to this moment, these words. "Representatives of the Galactic Concord," she began, her voice clear and steady. 5 years ago, your forces destroyed a human ship without provocation. You quarantined our planet without explanation. You judged us without knowing us." Murmurs rippled through the assembly. "We come seeking understanding, not conquest," Laura continued. "Earth did not ask for this conflict. Yes, humanity developed along a different path than your civilizations. We faced different evolutionary pressures, different planetary challenges. We learned to fight before we learned to cooperate. But we did learn to cooperate." She gestured to her diverse crew standing behind her. "Look at us. Different nations, different backgrounds, united in purpose. The ship we built, the Vengeance, represents the best of what humans can achieve together." Dr. Carter stepped forward with a data device. "We offer complete records of our attempt to establish peaceful contact with the Concord over the past 5 years. 17 diplomatic missions, all destroyed. Hundreds of communication attempts, all ignored." The records were transferred to the Assembly's system, appearing on display screens throughout the chamber. More murmurs, some sounding disturbed. "The Vengeance was built for defense, not conquest," Laura emphasized. "We could have launched a surprise attack against your worlds. Instead, we came to talk." At a nod from Laura, Carter displayed records of their journey. Dozens of encounters where the Vengeance could have destroyed conquered vessels, but instead disabled them with minimal casualties. The High Arbiter was silent for a long moment. "Your ship combines technologies in ways our scientists deemed impossible. Your weapons could have devastated our outposts. Why show restraint?" "Because that's not who we are," Laura replied simply. "We don't seek to rule or destroy. We seek to explore, to learn, to grow. Yes, we can be dangerous when threatened, but that capacity for violence is matched by our capacity for compassion." Medical Director Dr. Phillips stepped forward. "Since arriving here, I've analyzed the biological data in your public archives. Humans are more adaptable than most conquered species. We evolved on a planet with extreme climate variation and countless natural threats. We had to become problem solvers to survive." Chief Engineer Garcia added, "That's why our technology developed differently. We needed solutions fast, sometimes before we fully understood the science behind them. We built nuclear weapons before we had computers because we had to end a devastating world war. For the first time, the aliens seemed to be truly listening. Laura pressed the advantage. The conquered has existed for thousands of years, following predictable patterns of development. That's brought you stability, but also stagnation. Humanity offers something different. New perspectives, new approaches. The assembly chamber erupted in discussion, aliens talking among themselves in countless languages. The High Arbiter raised a metallic limb for silence. The assembly must deliberate, it announced. You will be summoned when a decision is reached. The humans were escorted to a waiting area. Hours passed as the Concord representatives debated humanity's fate. Laura's crew remained calm but tense, each lost in their own thoughts about what might come next. Finally, they were called back to the Yuan assembly. The chamber was quieter now, the atmosphere solemn. The High Arbiter addressed them directly. The quarantine of Earth is lifted. Humanity will be granted provisional membership in the Galactic Concord, with representatives to be integrated into all major councils. Laura felt a wave of relief wash over her. They had succeeded in their mission, but the Arbiter wasn't finished. However, certain military technologies developed by humans must be regulated according to Concord law. The Vengeance will remain the only vessel of its kind until safety protocols can be established. It was a compromise Laura could live with. We accept these terms, she said. As the formal proceedings concluded, Emissary Zoln approached Laura, privately. You have changed things, Captain Wright. Already, research centers across the Concord are exploring technology combinations previously considered impossible. Your arrival has disrupted our thinking. Sometimes disruption leads to growth, Laura replied. 3 days later, the Vengeance departed Concord Prime, carrying not just its original crew, but also a group of alien diplomats bound for Earth. They would help establish the first human embassy to the Galactic Concord and begin the process of integrating Earth into the wider galactic community. On the bridge, Laura watched the massive ring world shrink on the view screen as they pulled away. Set course for home, she ordered quietly. Let's tell Earth the good news. As the Vengeance's engines powered up for the journey back to Earth, Laura reflected on how much had changed. The silence that had greeted Earth's warship had transformed into a galaxy-wide conversation. Humanity would never be just another member species. Their unique perspective would forever change the course of galactic civilization. We didn't just earn our place among the stars, she told her crew. We changed what that place means for everyone.